Good morning. It's Saturday morning. It's weigh-in day. Yeah, weigh-in day. It's been a good week. Potty training update. If you guys don't know about it, you can go back one video and you can see that I have officially began potty training my cat to use the toilet rather than a litter box. It will be the second time I'm doing this. The first cat, I was successful, and before he was 1 year old, I had never had to buy a bag of litter ever again. And so that's the goal here. The goal is before Luca is 1 year old, we will never have to buy a bag of litter ever again. But minutes after I set it up, he already used it, and he's used it 3 or 4 times since. Essentially, all it is at this moment is a litter box sitting in the top of the toilet, hovering over, the normal toilet. And as every successful week goes by, we will cut part of the ring. There are 4 rings, and you cut a half a ring each successful week, and the hole just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until there's no more rings left. And it should take at minimum 8 weeks. If you have an accident and he goes to somewhere other than the litter box, then you postpone cutting a week in the process. The first time this took 10 weeks and we were successful. We'll see how long it takes for this cat. But that's the update. He successfully used it, and we are going to make our first move so far on Thursday, so long as he doesn't have any accidents between now and Thursday. But on to regularly scheduled talks here. So I had been, kind of coming down on myself recently. And, the story about how I got my Jeep is so obviously divine intervention in my life that it has to be a story that goes forward. It has to be part of my testimony on how it all came to be, because clearly God had his hand in how I got that Jeep, okay? And I have had the opportunity to tell that story to numerous people, and then I don't do it. And then I end up condemning myself for not doing it, saying like I fell short of giving God the glory. And then I would tell myself, I didn't have enough time to tell them. It's too long of a story to tell, and I didn't have enough time to tell it. Good morning. I didn't have enough time to tell the story, and so it was just an impossible situation in my mind. And in reality, I would sit there and say these prayers like, God, teach me a way to tell the story that doesn't take as much time. But all of this was really just excuse, right? Because it's all dispelled by one question. I could start the whole thing like, do you have time to hear a long story? And go from there, and that could be the beginning, the catalyst, and I sit there and I would feel shame for not sharing the beautiful testimony that is how I came to have my Jeep. And it just made me think about all of the shame involved still here we are, and there's just shame in life in different ways, right? Like, how many times are we sitting there ashamed of, having a bad night? Like last night, you binge ate, whatever. You ruined everything. You're sitting there in the shame of it. You got to your goal weight and you went off and did your own thing. And, you gained some weight back, or you gained way more than you ever thought you'd allow yourself to. And then now you're ashamed to return to the program you knew worked in the first place. Shame can keep you from doing so many things because you feel like you should live up to something, that there's some way, shape, or form that this should go, and you fell short of that, and because of that you're not worthy to even talk about it. It's just amazing how such little thing like that could stop you from sharing. You know, and you could see that obviously it would be a tool the enemy would use to stop you from essentially sharing a testimony, right? You would, if your goal is to spread the gospel or spread how Jesus has changed your life, even with a story as simple as how you came to have a Jeep, and then all of a sudden you're condemning yourself for not doing it, and then it's just this vicious cycle, right? The same thing with eating, right? We are supposed to realize that somewhere along the line, we're in the situation we're in because of, you know, a position we're being placed into, right? And when I look back on my life, and I look at all of the times that I felt the shame of failing at some part of the weight loss journey. And I mean, you would think that I would be totally shut off to it, right? You would think that shame wouldn't affect me nearly as much. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was 460 pounds, went and had gastric bypass surgery, a year later was down 183 pounds, and then 15 years after that was close to having gained every ounce of it back. So from 460 to 277 to 403 in just about 16 years time span. There is plenty of shame to go along with just that one instance. Forget about all of the small failures that we find shame in, like the binge eating in the evening and waking up the next morning saying, why did I do that? I ruined everything. You know, or being that person that gained a bunch of weight back and is hesitant to return to the program they know works because they don't want people to see that they've gained everything back. The shame is just endless. It's endless. And really, it's just you yourself, because all the enemy just has to plant it, right? He just has to plant the seed of shame, and then you run wild with it. He doesn't have to stick around while you do all the tormenting yourself, right? You do all the tormenting yourself. All he has to do is mention the one thing that causes the trickle effect to all of the other things. But in the end, it becomes our choice, right? Our choice to allow the shame to keep us from what we need to do the most, or our choice to say, forget whatever shame I feel, swallow your pride, and get back to work and do what needs to be done. Because everybody knows they have a checklist. Everybody knows. And it doesn't really matter in the broad scheme of things. What you think other people think of you is most likely not even in their head. Because outside of that room or outside of whatever's happening, if they even spend 5 minutes talking to you, talking about you, it's probably an overstatement, right? And really all of it is just in your own head. So if there's anything you're feeling shame about today, if you're feeling shame in any way, shape, or form, maybe you binge ate, maybe you're not proud of having gained 10, 20, 30 pounds back after being at goal, whatever it is that you're feeling the shame, it's just there until you put it down. And it's as simple as putting it down and getting back to work. Remember, every time somebody points the finger at you and say, oh, wow, you gained a bunch of weight back, they have 3 fingers pointing back at themselves, right? If they even have the balls to say that to your face, right? Most people are just saying it behind your back. But what you don't hear about what other people think about you is none of your business. So if shame is stopping you from starting up again, from getting back to work, from facing the fact that the scale is going to tell you you're up a bunch of weight and you've been avoiding it all, it's time. It's time to say, you know what, let's face it, see what it is, and get back to work. We know what works. I don't need any lessons. I just need to get back to work. Whatever you're doing today, enjoy yourself. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.